Hello and welcome to Stylist Chats with Creatives. Today on the podcast, I'm speaking to Nicole Owen. Nicole's a stylist, content creator and owns a preloved shop, and she's based in the Northwest. We first met, I would say, nearly 10 years ago now in a studio.
Yeah, I think it must be, 8 or 9. Yeah, I've lost count to be honest, but
Yeah, me too. The pandemic's just skipped like 5 years for me.
Yeah.
How are you doing? You all right?
I'm good, yeah, I'm good. All finished with Christmas now. I've just got to take down the Christmas lights that are still outside on the front on the front window. But then it's all packed up and gone.
Oh, that's good. We pack up quite early. I'm always done by like New Year's Eve.
I saw a lot of people this year, like New Year's Day, Christmas tree's gone. I'm like, whoa.
Yeah. I'm like very much, it goes in between sometime around my birthday to New Year's Eve, and then I'm done. So it's like max 3 weeks.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
Yeah. Although I like the fairy lights. I do still have loads of fairy lights out.
Yeah, it's only because I store them in the house. So like I need to just like get them packed away in that container out of the way, and then they're gone. I do leave the Christmas wreath on the door though for like the whole of January.
Nice.
Get the most out of it.
Yeah. Did you make it this year again?
Yeah, I make them. I've been making them since 2020. I went to a wreath making workshop in 2020, and I'd always wanted to do that. I always thought like wreath making was like quite hard, and then I did it, and I was like, oh, this is like really easy. I can do it myself. So I just continued making it. I'd always use offcuts from the tree, so we have to wait till we get the Christmas tree, and I use a few offcuts from the tree, and then I'll either like forage the other little bits, or this year I had to go to a florist to get a few things because I wasn't able to like there was bits of holly around, but there was no like like the red little like
like the berries and
yeah
stuff.
the berries weren't on them, and like the weather was really bad too, so I was like, I don't really want to be out in the rain trying to like go and grab stuff. So I just went to a florist. I did it myself. It's actually like really therapeutic. Have you tried it?
Yeah. No, and we didn't even put one up this year, and I was like, Nathan, I need to make one. I need to like just get on with it. And then I just didn't. And then we had all the high winds, and because we're on the top of the hill, the garden, everything in the garden bloody blew around. And I was like, oh, in a way, it's kind of good that I didn't put one up because it probably would have ended up down the street.
Yeah. Got to keep it secure.
Yeah. Well, I did see this girl on TikTok. She'd padlocked her wreath to a door knocker because she lived in London.
People steal them. Yeah, I've seen that before. And like someone I follow on Instagram, she like had her wreath stolen a few years ago. And I was like, oh my God, that like never occurred to me. But people do steal like some really nice ones. I do the old hang the hook on the inside of the back of the door and loop the twine over. I mean, obviously you could still snip it and take it, but no one's stealing a wreath around where I live.
Yeah, it's a really weird thing to nick.
Yeah. We actually, we did something, we live in quite a safe neighborhood, but the other week we went out to look at Christmas lights in the evening, and just like, we took Penny with us, which we wouldn't normally do. So like Penny in the car, Rosemary in the car. Often it's my husband that will like run back to the door and like shut the door, lock the door and jump back in the car. We just left the door open. Not unlocked, just wide open.
Oh my God.
So like lucky we took Penny with us, which is the reason why I think we forgot to shut the door.
Yeah.
Came back to the house and the front door was just wide open, and like our door, we've got kind of like two front doors because we have a utility room, and that's a door that is what faces the street, and the front door is like to the side, so that's what we left open. But I just couldn't believe we just got home and the front door was just wide open.
Oh shit. That reminds me actually, like Nath. That's so good because like Nath regularly in Manchester and here in Homefirth just left his keys in the front door.
Yeah.
Like, would unlock the door, walk in and forget to take his keys. And he did it here in Homefirth, and his like keys were just dangling for like hours.
Rob's done that before in like right in like Liverpool city centre. I know Liverpool's got a lot of like, bit of a reputation for it being dodgy, and yet like parts of it definitely is, but he's left the keys in the ignition before like loads of times.
Oh God.
And things like that. Car keys everywhere. God. Everything open.
Yeah, just take whatever you want. Yeah. Free. So funny. So how did you get into styling and Because I know you've been a stylist probably similar time length as me, like a decade-ish, maybe a bit.
Not as long as you. Definitely not as long as you. In terms of like skill set, you're someone I would like take advice from.
No,
Yeah.
get over.
I still would now. Yeah. Well, I'd been at the place where I was full time, where I started out styling, for, like I said, I think about like 8 years. Obviously, like I was off on maternity leave for a year, so like take that out. I got into styling through a family friend who worked in client services at the same studio. And I'd always worked in retail doing like visual merchandising, and then like retail management. So that often, like a lot of stylists come from that kind of industry, don't we? Because it kind of like ties in the same thing, doing like shop windows and rearranging the floor and stuff. But I never really thought, I think when you're not in the industry, you just don't think that there's a person that's like arranging the clothing or like, you know, pulling like props together. Like you just don't see that like whole side of it, do you?
No.
So she just said to me, "Oh, we've got like a job going at my place. Like, do you want to? I could put your name forward and like see if you want to apply." So I was like, "Yeah." And I remember being like absolutely terrified, like walking in because she'd given me the lowdown on like the two managers that I was going to be interviewed by, what one would be like, what the other one would be like, and like this and that. And I was like, and I remember like planning out my outfit, making sure I looked like really on trend and like really cool when I walked in.
Yeah.
I think I was wearing this. I remember I was obsessed at the time with watching Made in Chelsea, and I bought this lime green tweed jacket. I thought I just looked incredible. It's funny how like your style changes over the years, isn't it? Someone had worn it on Made in Chelsea, and I was like, I need that jacket. I need that jacket for the interview.
It's so funny I've been looking at all these like trends that are coming back in, and they're like from 2010, and I'm like, fucking hell, were we wearing like blazers and pumps and flared jeans thinking we were cool?
No, ballet pumps are a no from me. They just need to stay where they came from. I can't. The sweaty feet.
No. Oh no, I'm feeling every bump as you walked over stuff. Ugh.
I can't really. I don't like walking around barefoot like in the house. Like I have to have socks on or slippers on. If I feel like the tiniest crumb under my feet, I'm like,
Yeah, so yeah, takes back to 2010.
Yeah. So yeah, I got that job, and yeah, that was it. And I loved it. And back then, in that studio, you had to start out. It was like quite like strict and like regimented with like, listen, you like start out doing like a lot of the pressing, and you do like the bottom of the bottom, and then you have to like work your way up even before you could even step foot into a fashion studio and just even like look at the studio. Like it was like really regimented.
Oh yeah, it really was.
So yeah, I've seen like a lot of changes over the years, like for the better as well. So yeah, that's how I got into it, and then just never looked back and wish I'd done it sooner instead of going down the retail route first.
Yeah, I think me and you have done the same route because I was a VM as well for a while, and then kind of fell into styling and was like, hey, this is kind of the same.
Yeah.
You know, it's just, you're like, oh, I'm comfortable dressing mannequins, like, fine.
Yeah. I remember being like quite scared at first, and then being like, oh, it's just like doing the shop windows, and then there's just like there was always just like so much to learn as well. There still is now, like you just learn it all the time, don't you, as you go along, like you're always learning new things. But I remember being back then just being like trying to be like a sponge, just like teach me this, show me this, how'd you do that? Remember things like wiring trousers. I found so fascinating that like all the girls that like trained me up to do suit trousers, I was just like, wow.
Yeah, it's one of those tasks that when someone asks you to do it, I'm more than happy to do it.
Yeah.
But fuck me. Just, it can be so frustrating, especially if the pressure's on and you've got like, I don't know, 100 to do over like 2 days or something.
Oh.
It can be quite stressful, that.
Yeah. I've not had to wire a pair of trousers for a long time. People still doing that?
I don't know, actually. I don't know, because I feel like people are relaxing a little bit more with their styling.
Yeah.
It's less kind of looking as though it's been drawn in CGI. It's more like, you know.
I feel like there was so much work that had to go into the styling side of it and then the retouching as well. Whereas like nowadays, yeah, it does seem a lot more relaxed. But I often wonder sometimes if there's people out there still wiring trousers to death.
I hope not, for their souls.
Someone save them.
We'll send out a little SOS.
Yeah.
Bless them. So, how have you found balancing parenthood alongside freelancing? Because I know you were at that studio for a while, and then after your maternity leave was up, you chose to go freelance.
Yeah.
So, was it because you had little and that you decided to go freelance in that after that?
Yeah, I kind of like, I done it to myself really, because I'd always been that person. You're like, you meet like freelancers that come into the studio and they always say to you, would you ever go freelance? And I'd always be like, oh yeah, when I have kids, like I might go freelance. So I've been saying that for like years and years and years. And then I felt like I had to do it. No, but after maternity leave, I only wanted to go back a couple of days a week. So it didn't really work out that way for like what the studio wanted, like their needs and what we wanted to do for kind of like our new lifestyle with a child. So I was like, oh, I think that's a sign to just go freelance. So my husband and I talked about it. They were like, yeah, let's just give it a go and then see how it goes. Also as well, because we live quite close to Liverpool, like just the traffic going into Manchester is a bit of a nightmare, like going in and out. Often when I go in, I'm like leaving here at like 7 and then only sometimes getting back at like 6:30. So just trying to like figure that out would have been, I don't know, just the thought of that, like hats off to people that work full time and they have kids, because I think I'd have a breakdown.
Yeah, you and me both, I think.
I don't know how they do it.
I really admire people that have kids and can still balance their work as well, because like I get stressed out and I've not got a kid, I've just got a dog and husband.
Yeah. And it's definitely been quite a big adjustment, because Rosemary goes to nursery 1 day a week at the moment. And yeah, it's definitely like if I'm working on that day, like even that's just like, yeah, it's all like a bit of a tricky kind of like balance to figure it out. Like, and we've got one car as well. We borrow our in-laws' car sometimes. So it's just like who drops her off and then who picks her up and then who's around in case one of us, like if we need to go and get her for some reason, like earlier on, which hasn't happened yet, but who knows?
Yeah.
It's just that whole balance has been, interesting to figure it out.
I bet. Yeah. At least though she's in nursery and in a way you've got that day that you know you can do other stuff or do some of your content creation and stuff.
Yeah. So like, so often now on a Monday, I'm just trying to like, I'll set a to-do list, whenever like I think of things. And then I'm just trying to like power through all these like little jobs and like house stuff. I mean, it is obviously like having people like, I didn't like the newborn stage, but that is the time when you actually do get a lot of things done, because it is like sleeping all the time. When you've got like a little tiny person like running around, it's a lot harder to get kind of like just like basic jobs done around the house.
Yeah, because is she 2?
Yeah, she just turned 2.
Just turned 2. Yeah, they're at that stage of like wanting to touch and do and copy everything, aren't they?
Yeah. I had her the other week for the first time in ages. I did a grocery delivery order, so they just like drop out the front door, don't they? Like pull it all out the crates, and she was having a great time. It's taking one thing at a time into the kitchen for me, like carrying in like a massive melon, like a tin of beans. I'm like, go and get that one, put that in the kitchen.
Oh, bless her.
So it's like funny and cute at the same time.
Yeah. So how did your content creation kind of kick off?
I guess like most people that are like interested in fashion and doing the content creation thing, we're all kind of like doing similar things or started out in a similar way by like showing outfits and like that kind of thing. Obviously back then I was like really into like the more heavy kind of like, look at my outfit, look at like what's like trending right now, like what's like cool to wear. And obviously I've changed a lot since then, got more into, shopping more consciously and doing a lot of like secondhand shopping. But I just got into it, just by like sharing like outfit things. And I had people comment sometimes like, oh, well, like, let you share that, or that's nice that you're doing that and things. And I didn't actually tell anyone about it that that knew me when I first started doing it. Because it's easier, I think. It's easier to start a new thing that strangers see than like people that you know. Obviously, there's like the fear of like being judged and like caring what people think about you. But I've changed how I think about that now as well. I think you have to push past that and just like not care what other people think. And there's always going to be someone that has something negative to say, isn't there? So
yeah. And I do think with age, I care much less in my mid-30s than what I would have done in my early 30s about what people think of me.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, definitely. And it was so true that I was like, I read that when I kind of hit like early 30s, and it's definitely true for a lot of people, isn't it? That you just like your mindset changes and you definitely like care less and just focus on what you want to do. But I think, just got into it by sharing kind of like fashiony things, and then I realized like, when I like, dived a bit deeper into it, or like, hold on a minute, obviously it is kind of the same thing as styling, because like brands are looking for you to like just make content for them as well. So I thought, well, hold on a minute, I can like, hopefully make a bit of cash out of this as well. So I went more into like that kind of side of it, just doing like the more like content creation side. So yeah.
Is it quite hard to message like the brands that you want to work with and be like, hey, I'm incredible, come work with me? You find that like a bit scary?
Yeah, so I'd never really done that before. Obviously, I'd heard about people like pitching to brands, and I was like, oh God, I could never do that. Like, it's like hell embarrassing. And I don't know why, because I was a stylist. So like I was just doing it like with a studio.
Yeah.
So it was such a weird mentality that I had that I couldn't like approach them myself and get my own business. And obviously as well, working for a studio, there was like blurred lines of like being careful to not get in trouble as well for doing that when you're working underneath someone. If it's like a potential client, kind of had to be like careful around that. So it was only like after I decided to go freelance and not go back to my full-time job that I started to change my mindset of how I was going to make money. Like I made a list of like all these things I was going to try and make money from on top of being freelance. And one of them was like, I need to like, get more into like user generate content and like doing like content creation for brands. And I started coming across a couple of creators that were like, kind of doing guides on like how to approach brands, like this and that, what to do, what not to do, how to go about it. And just doing a lot of research and taking their advice. And then, so recently I did some work for made.com, and that was purely from, we've got one of their sofas. So I've always like tagged them in any like pictures that I put out, which shows that like you're authentic and you actually, enjoy their products. They got in touch with me to repost a picture that I put up. And so I thought, okay, I'm going to be cheeky here and find a way in. So I said like, oh, will you let me, we transfer you the image so the quality doesn't drop, which can happen if you drop a image just into like into Instagram Messenger. And someone replied and I was like, oh yeah, here's an email address to send it to. So I sent that over, and then when I sent the image, I just said like, oh, have you got any like upcoming like content briefs that you're looking to fill? Like I'd love to do some work for you if you could think of me, in the future. And she got back to me and she was like, yeah, we're looking for some upcoming like Christmas briefs to be done. And yeah, it just like started from there. And I was like, oh my God.
That's so cool.
Yeah. So there's a lot of like to it. That was my first like proper experience. I'd done some work before for a makeup company called Beauty Pie. That was a similar kind of thing as well. But this was like a kind of like backwards and forwards, working on the brief together, me coming up with like some of the ideas and working with the brand on like what we were going to like put out, and then getting things signed off. So it was like, that was like my full like first proper experience, like doing the whole shebang, and they're getting paid for it. So yeah, that was really exciting.
That's so cool. Did you find it hard to price your skill as well?
Yeah, and I definitely undercharged. I didn't really I got like a bit kind of, overexcited, the thought that they were like, oh my God, they're going to work with me. And like, I just didn't take into account the like prop fees. Obviously, it was a bit of a silly mistake to go back and like not like obviously being a stylist, the first thing we do is make a list, don't we, of like props, what we're going to spend, whatever. I did kind of like a rough kind of estimation, and then I definitely didn't like charge properly for like the prop side of it. But it's you learn as you go along, don't you?
Yeah, and like I'm still learning about that now. So, you know, and it's one of those, it's hard, especially like you say, when you get a new client and you're excited about it and you're like, I really want to work with this person.
Yeah.
And you don't want them to say no based on price.
Yeah.
But then it's like, now you know how much time it takes and stuff, so you can dedicate a bit more to it, can't you? But and even have it as like an introductory offer, and you know,
because a lot of the time, like, people will find that content creators don't have set prices, and you shouldn't have set prices because every job is different and like individual to like whatever the brand is looking for. So you kind of like learn as you go along, and make mistakes as well.
Yeah, and that's part of life though, isn't it? And part of especially owning a business where you're self-employed, like, you're going to make mistakes, you're going to learn from it, and you're going to be like, actually next time I'm not going to do that, I'm going to do something different or approach it in a different way. And that's the thing, you've got to keep learning as well, because stuff changes all the time.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm so pleased to see that you're getting like paid content creation stuff as well. That's so nice.
Oh, thank you.
It's so nice.
It's been fun.
Have you got other brands on your like hit list that you want to work with?
Yeah, kind of in my mind. I need to like write a few things down, to be honest. Need to get better at like writing lists of like things I need to get done. They're kind of like in my mind.
Yeah.
It can be a tricky one too with content creation, because obviously some brands, if you're just doing like UGC creation for them, that's fine. You just got to have, like a proper portfolio to show the work you can do. But then if brands want you to post it on your feed and you've got like a small following like me, like sometimes obviously they'll just turn you down and just be like, no, because you've not got enough followers. But more and more brands are coming round to that. And like me working with made.com is just proof of that, because they'll work with, people that have got like 150,000 followers, and then they've let me make content for them, and I've got a really small following. So it's a whole different ball game.
Yeah, it's funny how it's changed so much over the last like decade.
Yeah. I think a lot of brands now have realized that, well, we don't have to, like there's a lot of brands that want to give out like free stuff in the hope they'll get like free content out of it. I think the good brands, I don't know. Yeah, it's a whole other topic. It's a different podcast.
Yeah. I feel the same. Like, I was working with a brand who were trying to send some free product to people, but they had their stipulation was like they wanted somebody with 50,000 followers.
Yeah,
but those people weren't going to promote what they were selling because it wasn't really worth them promoting even on stories. It wasn't worth their like allocated time, on a story. So it can be quite difficult, I think.
Yeah, it's a bit of a tricky one, and I think the downside is there's a lot more and more platforms that are opening up where brands can sign up to kind of like link up with content creators just purely based on a gifted basis. So now that I am trying to think more business minded about it, I am sometimes pushing back. And if it's something that like, I don't know, it's a bit of a tricky one, but I'll try and, I'll say yes if it's something that I would use or do you think would work in my life, but I'll really cut down the amount of work I'm putting in. So we'll just do something really short, really snappy. Whereas in the past, when I first started out, I'd spend ages like doing the content like for free.
Yeah.
So now I'm like, oh yeah, I'll do it, and I'll make like a 5-second reel and like one image, and that's all they get.
Yeah, and also I think this comes into like overconsumption as well, right?
Yeah.
Because then you've got to try and shift whatever product or like, say if it's, I don't know, some clothes that you've been sent, you've made the content and then actually like worn it twice. And then you've got to put in the effort to resell it to get some money back as well, like there's quite a lot. I see a lot of that.
Yeah, on the fast fashion side of it, there's definitely like a lot of that goes on, which is like quite negative and obviously not very good. But I won't take anything that I wouldn't use, or like I say no to things that I like wouldn't by myself, for example. But there is a lot of
Yeah.
people out there that just say yes to like everything, and then they are like trying to sell it on or shift it somehow.
Yeah, it's just like adding to the, again, maybe this is age as well, like because we don't care what people think, you dress how you want and then you're
Yeah.
not keeping up with trends and stuff, so it's a bit more, you're not as rose-tinted haven't got rose-tinted glasses on when it comes to like fast fashion and being like, I've got
Yeah.
to fit in, you know, like.
Yeah, that's something I definitely noticed, a change in my mindset and like feeling like so much less pressure or like no pressure to keep up with trends is when I just stopped following trends and like unsubscribing from like fast fashion emails or like muting them on socials. So like I just wasn't seeing it. So sometimes you still see like trends come through. Like obviously we had the big bow trend, which is what led into me doing like the bow thing for made.com. And then like, red's been like really big on trends, but you can definitely find ways of being a part of trends without it being like, I need it now and like new season must have and all like just like stupid things like that.
Yeah, yeah. I think you're doing a lot more secondhand and pre-loved clothing stuff as well now. And it's so nice to see a content creator who's appreciating the secondhand stuff that you can find. And I
Yeah.
noticed as well you've learned how to turn up some jeans and stuff and put darts in and things.
Yeah. Years ago for Christmas, I asked for a sewing machine because I thought I was going to learn to sew. And then I was just like terrified of it. So I kept saying, I need to learn to sew. I'm going to learn to sew. And then I ended up needing to, for that made.com thing, I made a tablecloth basically. Well, not made a tablecloth. I bought some fabric and I hemmed the edge, but I took it to the like 1 hour tailor thinking, oh, she can like hem this for me, only to be met with a closed down sign. I was like,
Oh no.
So I had to get the sewing machine out and do it myself. So that's where that stemmed from. I was like, I knew it was coming eventually. I knew like the universe was just going to like make me do it, make me start it. So yeah, I've been learning a lot of things from TikTok. Actually, TikTok is like amazing for like sewing tutorials and just learning like loads of different things. The other week, I watched a TikTok. We'd been like redecorating the living room, and I'd taken down a curtain pole, and I wanted to like tighten one of the brackets, but the drill, like the drill bit, I don't even know what you call it. It come out basically. I couldn't get it back in, so I was like, right, go to TikTok.
Yeah.
How to refit the drill bit back in the drill. Did it. I found it. I did it.
Amazing.
There's a lot to be learned over there.
Yeah, I think I'm following like, I found new bands, I found new podcasts, I found like all these people doing like artists. I found a lady who recovers lampshades.
Oh, that's
like,
a nice one.
Just insane stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously it's got its negative side as well, but like there's a lot on there.
Yeah.
That you can learn quite quickly. Like,
yeah, there's a lot to be learned on there. Yeah, everyone, if you want to learn anything, you can definitely find it on TikTok.
Yeah, or YouTube as well if you want a bit of a deeper tutorial.
Yeah, I never go on YouTube. I don't really know why. I don't know, go to TikTok straight away.
Oh dear, we're a bit of a YouTube house. This house.
Yeah, I've heard.
We're on it like quite a lot.
Yeah, I don't know. We just go on YouTube Kids to watch Miss Rachel.
To be fair, whenever we've been babysitting like nieces or nephews, we end up putting like Mr. Tumble on, and then we keep getting recommendations and we're like, oh no, we don't want to watch Mr. Tumble at 9:00 at night.
You need to make a separate YouTube Kids account, because that's what kept happening to my husband on like his YouTube account. He was getting like Blippy and stuff coming up and he was like, get this off. So if you do it a kids account, it's separate and it won't like mess with what will like come up on your page. Recommendations.
Oh, that's good. That's good. I think Nath ended up muting loads of stuff. He was just like, no. Or even like I'll put on, because we kind of share the YouTube, and I'll put on like learn how to read tarot cards or something, and he's like, what is this?
What have you been watching?
He's always, but then he's like watching he's watching people play video games so he can get like tips and tricks and stuff.
I've heard that's quite a big thing, isn't it? Watching gamers.
Yeah, it's huge. It's huge. And it often sends me to sleep.
Yeah, yeah, it would send me as well.
Oh, dear, oh dear. So we were also chatting before we hit record about your last name. So on your Instagram, your last name's Stephanos,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And so explain this a little bit.
Oh, it's all over the place. So basically, like I was saying before, like when my my name from birth is Stephanos, and then mum got divorced, she got remarried and took on the name Jackson, and I had that for a couple of years, but I think not as my like official name. And I actually, mum let me change my name like legally to Jackson, so there was like no trace of Stephanos because I was like ashamed by it. Like when I was a kid, I just thought it like wasn't good. um, and then so I had that name Jackson for like years and years, and then I got married. Then it was Owen, so that was my actual name, which is why like on my styling page or any kind of like business stuff to do with styling is Owen. And then when I got into kind of doing like the content creation and like sharing like fashiony stuff, when I set up that account, I thought like I wanted to try and have like a unique name. So I was like, oh, I should use like my dad's surname, like my original birth name, use Stephanos, because that wasn't coming up anywhere. And as well too, like I was saying, when I got married, that name Stephanos just basically like stopped with me. My auntie, like she didn't have any kids. I was the only kid from my dad. So that like Stephanos name was just gone. And I just thought that was really sad. So I thought I'd like to like kind of carry that on somehow.
Yeah, it's really nice that you've like kept it as a bit of a sort of legacy, maybe is the right word.
Yeah, legacy or something. And as I got older as well, I really kind of like, I don't know, kind of like really leaned into like appreciating my kind of like heritage. And growing up, I used to be like really embarrassed about how like hairy I was. And growing up in Australia too, like it is quite like a multicultural place. But on the other hand, like you still kind of feel kind of like not normal if you're like a hairy little Italian looking kid. It's only when you get older, like you were saying, like you kind of like care less about what people think. And as well too, through like social media, I think I can actually remember one of the first times I saw, like I used to have like really, like, well, I still do, like it's kind of like sideburns. I remember seeing a video of a girl that like looks like me, and I was like, oh my god, she's like showing her sideburns like all over the internet.
Yeah.
I was like, why am I embarrassed about this? Like hair's just like normal.
Yeah, I used to be the same about my hairy arms.
Yeah.
Oh
Like, yeah.
Oh my god! Like my arms are so hairy. My arms are so hairy, and now I don't even care. I'm with you on the sideburn crew. I'm there too. Like,
yeah, I do still have really hairy arms. Unfortunately, when I was like quite young, like I started shaving them, and then I've had to just shave them ever since because like
mate.
I know they're so hairy. So like, just you do stupid things like that when you were little, like not little, when you're like a teenager, over plucking your eyebrows and things like that. And yeah, so I guess as I got older, I started thinking, hold on a minute, like I'm proud that like my mum is Italian, and I've got like Greek heritage as well. Like I want to be like proud of that and carry that on, and especially having a kid as well. Like I don't want Rosemary to feel funny about how she looks. She's got my hairiness, unfortunately, like a little hairy back. Like, oh.
Oh, it's always as well when you've got dark hair, it shows up so much more.
Yeah,
like just is, isn't it?
It's quite weird. I know your hair color and stuff can change, but my hair's always been dark, and my husband's really dark as well. She's not got hair as dark as either of us, but she's got like all my little hairy features. So yeah, definitely like changed my mindset.
Yeah. I think again that's another age thing, right?
Yeah.
Like you get a bit older and you're like, no one's actually looking at my hairy arms, like and actually like I remember the tattoo artist when I had my sleeve done, she was like shaving like from my shoulder all the way down. And she's like shaving and it came off in like little dust balls of hair. And I'm just like, oh god, there's so much hair there. And she's like, honestly, it's not that bad.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh yeah, actually. And now I don't even see the hair because I'm tattooed, but like no one cares.
No one cares.
No one remembers that you've got hairy arms. I think
No.
there's that little poem or something that's going around on, and people are using it on their reels, and it's something about not remembering what other people look like in the swimming pool on holiday, and it's so true.
Oh, I've
No
not
one
seen that.
remembers.
That's so true though, yeah.
I'll have to send it to you because it's so true. Like no one, you're always thinking like, oh my god, what do I look like at the pool? What do I look like? And not one person might be like, oh, your bikini's nice,
Yeah.
and then they're not thinking about it.
Yeah.
They're not like, oh, this person's like shouldn't be in a bikini, or they should be in a like, I don't know, a
Yeah.
wetsuit or something.
It's so true that it's the same thing about when you like rewear things. A lot of people are like worried to like rewear something over and over and over. And obviously like that is like changing a lot now, which is good, but no one remembers. No one's going to remember like
No.
unless they like it and they're like, oh, I love that like top that you wore. I love that dress. I love it when you wear that red dress.
Yeah. And I'm the same. Like I got a dress out that I wore to my grandma's wedding not last year, 2022. And I've got a wedding this year, and I'm like, oh, just tried it on for size, and it doesn't quite fit at the minute. So I was like, right, I want to wear this again because I know it looks nice when it fits.
Yeah.
So because I was like, I'm not going to buy a new dress when I've got
No.
like 2 sat in the cupboard. I just need to like exercise a little bit more and it'll fit. Like that's literally it. I've just been in goblin mode for a year.
Exercise is, yeah, it's not for me.
Yeah, I have my like little exercise stuff that I enjoy, like going walking with the dog, my
Yeah.
Pilates, bit of yoga, and I'm good now. I'm like, that's cool. That's enough.
Yeah. I've been there, done that with like exercise things. I've still not found like I can walk all day. Like yesterday, Rosemary was supposed to have a nap, and I thought like I'll take her out and walk her in the pram. I ended up like walking for like 2 hours, and she didn't go to sleep anyway. But but I could walk all day. But if you were like go for a run with me, I'd be like absolutely not.
Yeah, I'm with you. I did a couple of jogs in the summer last year because I was like, oh, I'm going to see if I can still like jog, and I can do it, but like hideous.
No.
0 out of 10. Yet my sister can like run half marathons and marathons and stuff, and is just like la la la, loves it. And I'm
Yeah.
like, but what's wrong with you?
You're either made for it or you're not. And it's not for me.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'd rather go out on a nice like long walk or
Yeah.
you know something like that. It's quite nice. It makes your brain like, I find walking as well. I don't know about you. I end up like looking at lots of different things.
Yeah.
Like, oh, okay, and it inspires you in lots of different ways, doesn't it?
Yeah, definitely. Well, yeah, even when I went for a walk yesterday, you're like walking past like farmers' fields and like seeing the like crops change over time, or like spotting something in the distance that you like couldn't see before. Yeah, I'd rather go for a walk.
Yeah, for sure. How's your garden looking? What are your garden plans this year? 'Cause I know you're a little bit green fingered too.
With the inside, I am. Yeah, like I love I love houseplants, but the outside, oh my god, it's an absolute state. I'm sat in the kitchen right now, looking out to the garden. Just shut my eyes. I think I would rather have less grass. We need less grass and less plants. I feel like every year we end up redoing our garden. Like I just feel like everything dies. We've done something. We bought something last year called Garden on a Roll, which is like gardening for dummies, basically. It comes with like you put in the size you want, where it is in your garden, if it's like sunny or if it's shady, and then they send you out this big roll of paper, and it's all marked out where you put the plants.
That's cool.
Yeah. So hope like that bit does look okay, but we'll see. Hopefully they're okay. I don't know. It's a whole other thing, isn't it? I feel like doing stuff in your garden like just costs as much as it does on the inside of the house.
Yeah. We're the same. Like our balcony needs redoing. So there's a builder across the road, and he just looked at me and was like, how have you guys not fallen through this? Because there's so much water collecting underneath it. Mm-hmm. It's like on the verge of being like broken.
Oh no.
And I was like, didn't really look at it structurally properly. Just kind
Oh.
of hope for the best. So we're the same. We're like, we're going to have to chunk the garden into like sections and just do it section by section because it just costs so much money.
Yeah, that's what we've tried to do. Like, we painted the flags outside last year. There's a bit of a misunderstanding when it came to if you needed to seal it or not, because it kind of said it had like a sealant in it. And then anyway, I got in touch with the company, never heard back, and they just like forgot to like chase them up. And then by the time I chased them up, they were like, "Yeah, you should have sealed it." I'm like, "Oh my god!" Some of the paint's some of the paint's like washed off like a little bit. Yeah, I think sectioning off is definitely the best thing to do. That's kind of like what we've done. But I can see like the shed needs painting. We just had a new fence put in one side. But then when they went to put the panels in, like they don't go all the way down, and like I can't cope that like two of them are like higher than the rest of them.
Yeah, with you.
And it's because there's a broken concrete, like the baseboard, like that's broken. There's just like, it's just like never ending when you've got a house, isn't it? Like people aren't joking when they say that.
Yeah, it's so true. Like I love that we've bought a house, but the cost of running a house and getting stuff how you want it, it's so much money.
Yeah, we've hit that time in our house as well. We've been here for 10 years, maybe 11. I can never remember, where just loads of issues are happening. Like we had to have stuff done to the roof recently. And then like, that fence had to be replaced. It's just like in the bathroom, I'm not even like entertaining that. That can just absolutely be run to the ground because eventually we'd like to redo it. So I'm not touching anything in there. But there's like a massive crack coming like through the ceiling. It's just, it's all just expensive, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm with you. And then like going back to trends, you kind of have a little bit of like inspiration from other people and you're like, I'll do that. And then you repainted a whole room, spent $2,000 and you're like, the trend's gone now.
Yeah, that's a funny thing, isn't it? Recently I just painted our living room. I don't know if you find this as well, being a stylist, is that, you kind of look around. Maybe it's just like a female thing, I don't know, but my husband's always like, stop decorating, you're always decorating. But it's because like the back living room that we spend the most time in, there's not much windows, just like the layout's like quite strange, like not much light gets in there. And before we had Rosemary, like years ago, I painted it a dark grey, which was like really cozy and nice at the time. But then when I had her in December, it was just like really dark and gloomy and like made me feel like quite depressed because it was just so dark in there in like the middle of winter. So when it got a bit lighter, I was like, right, I'm painting this room. So I painted it all like kind of like light, like kind of like creamy color. But you're always just like looking around thinking, what else can I paint?
Yeah, we've still not finished our kitchen and that's been in nearly a year. So it's still not tiled. And this behind the curtain for you. Still not tiled. Nath cut a bit of the skirting board because we were missing about 4 inches of skirting board. So he trimmed a bit of skirting board in, but it's leaning up against the wall. It's not stuck on. We've got a wire exposed. We've also got a socket that we need to change that the panel's off. So it's just got a live wire in.
Oh, yeah.
Got a gap in the floor that we need to sort out.
Oh, my God.
Just... it'll get done eventually.
Yeah. Have you got a list?
In my head, yeah. And then we also need to trim the doors because I bought a rug, runner where the dog walks. But every time you open the door, it would catch on the rug. So it just needs like, I don't know, half a centimetre off. But the doors are so heavy that I can't lift them off myself to do it.
Oh, you can go wrong with like doors as well. Like I wouldn't touch doors.
Yeah. I mean, like to skim a bit off the bottom, I think I'll be fine. But like, I just can't lift the fucker off because it's too heavy.
No. There's some things too as well that like we didn't realize. We've put off things that were actually quite cheap to rectify to get someone to come and do it. Like even like changing a socket or something, like some electricians will just charge like 20 quid. I'm like, oh my God, that was like so cheap and it's been like bothering me for like months and months.
Yeah. And Nath is quite good at changing sockets. He did all of our living room in our old house and stuff. So we know how to do it. It's like, it's easy enough to do. It's just taking the time to do all the like chores and the tiny bits, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. I've got a big list of like things in the house that we're trying to work through.
Yeah, we need to sort our bedroom out and do our cupboards and stuff, because the cupboards, the people who previously owned the house did a lot of DIY themselves.
Oh yeah, ours
Again,
did
like
as
with the
well.
balcony and stuff. Ugh. And I really want like the cabinets to be done properly, because they're 3 floor to ceiling mirrored doors.
Oh
They're horrendous. But you just want somewhere nice to go to bed and
yeah.
have the room like nice. And it's got like live, laugh, love wallpaper all over it.
Oh
And
no.
it's very me and Nath.
When we first moved in here, we used so much wallpaper, and when I've redecorated this living room now, I've finally got rid of the last bit of wallpaper. As I'm never using wallpaper ever again. I love how people do some really cool stuff with wallpaper, but no, it's the aftermath that I don't want to deal with, like getting it off and never
Yeah.
again.
We had too much trauma from our old house with wallpaper, and I actually fell down the stairs twice while we were de-wallpapering the hallway.
Oh no.
And I'm just like, never again.
No.
Never, ever again. Just that our old house actually had like every room apart from the kitchen and bathroom had wallpaper in it.
Yeah, this house had a lot of wallpaper, and then we like changed it.
Yeah, it's hideous wallpaper. It's certainly a skill to be able to put it up.
Yeah.
Especially with all these big patterned like ones, but nah, fuck that. I couldn't handle it.
No.
Could not handle it. I'm also glad it's not just me who's got a list of stuff they need to do and that sees loads of stuff and is like, oh yeah, actually I'll try that in the house.
Yeah.
Decorating.
It's just never. I don't know whether it's a female thing or a creative thing. Probably both. I don't know, but just your mind's always going, isn't it? Like looking like I think just always trying to make like little improvements.
Yeah. And like for me as well, it's like seeing stuff at work and being like, oh yeah, and I log it in my head and then I'm like, oh, that'll work in that space at home, or that's a good storage idea, or
Yeah. Oh, I love storage things.
yeah, me too. Although I have been on a mission to get rid of loads of shit.
Yeah.
So I've got rid of so much stuff.
Yeah, that definitely helps. I don't like to have things in the house that I don't use without getting used. I'm always constantly like decluttering or like rearranging things. Like recently, for some reason, I only kind of like thought about this when we were like hosting over Christmas. All the like table stuff is upstairs in the bedroom cupboard. And I'm like, why is it up there when the table's downstairs? So I'm like rearranging a drawer in the kitchen so I can move down like the tablecloths and like napkins and stuff. And like, it should be in the kitchen. Why is it in the bedroom?
Yeah. Just in case someone's a bit cold and needs an extra tablecloth.
It's all things like that. You're just trying to like make better use of the space and like things like that.
Yeah. We're the same. I mean, like in this spare room, we've got a little ensuite and it's got a shower in it. Not that me and Nath can get under it because it's in the eaves.
Oh.
So I've put shelves in there and I've put stuff that we don't really use, but you might need because we've not got loft space.
Right.
So I've ended up putting shelves in there. And then I looked at it today because I was looking for a prop and I was like, I can't even tackle this space at the moment. There's just like crap. And I don't even know what it is. Like, just shite. Needs to go.
Just got to do like a little bit at a time. I've taken up a lot of space as well because I've set up a vintage and pre-loved homeware shop. But like obviously I'm like storing a lot of it in the kitchen cupboards.
Yeah. I'm with you. When did you start your pre-loved shop?
It was like kind of like end of 2022. I kind of did it. I wanted to do it for such a long time, but I saw it as like a massive, overwhelming task to set it up. And because I wanted to set it up properly with like a proper website and everything and like take like nice pictures, I just wanted to do it kind of like step by step, just like a kind of like slow process. So yeah, kind of like end of 2022, I started like photographing stuff and then did the website. And yeah, I've not really bought anything else recently for it because I'm trying to like I want to like shift some things first before I like keep buying more stuff.
Yeah, I'm the same with the prop hire stuff. I've got like cardboard boxes of stuff.
Yeah.
But it's always a way because you see stuff like in the charity shops or you see something at an antique shop and you're like, oh, I'll pick that up, or I pick that up.
Yeah.
And then before you know it, your house is full of stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
that really needs to be hired out or sold.
Yeah, it's a fine line. I've got some chairs that you probably will find this as well, obviously, like with like props, but I bought some chairs like years ago, some like wicker, like woven chairs. I got them off Facebook Marketplace like years and years ago for a test shoot that were kind of just like on display in the house, and then I finally like moved them out of the way, but I need to sell them because I'm just like, they're just not going to get used. So I need to like take photos of them. That's on my list to do today, actually, is to like photograph some more things and then like list them and get them shifted.
Yeah, it takes like, that's the part of it that takes time, I think, is like making stuff look nice and like then uploading it all and describing it and stuff.
Yeah.
Like I've kind of like launched the prop hire stuff kind of in a soft launch, kind of just putting it on my Instagram stories, and then added a little bit to my website, but not really, like the pictures aren't the best, but they're kind of out there, so at least people can see what I've got.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's hard. That's the hard part about it. And then I'm going to have to start like labeling stuff on the bottom with numbers and things.
So I know. Yeah, I haven't done that.
Yeah, I'm going to be like, oh God. That's a task that future Charlotte can deal with.
Yeah. Yeah, it can seem really overwhelming sometimes. You have to like break it down to like little steps.
Yeah, definitely. So I've got one last question for you, and I know that you listen to the podcast, so you'll kind of know what this question is.
Oh no.
But answer it in whichever way you want. But what inspires you?
Oh no, I forgot you were going to ask this, but I should have known. I don't know. I feel like I can be inspired by anything. Like obviously I do take inspiration, from like a lot of things I see online. Just anything really. It can be, nature, the environment, things around you, something someone says. I don't know.
Bit of everything.
A bit of everything, yeah. I think I definitely feel like a bit of everything, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a creative mind as well, isn't it? We go like, oh, I'll have a little bit of that, little bit of that, little bit of that.
Yeah.
Put it in my mixing pot, and you've got your own little creative world.
Exactly, yeah.
Well, thank you so much for coming on the podcast today. I've really enjoyed our little chat, and it's so nice to see your face, because I feel like we've not crossed paths in studios for a while.
I know, yeah.
So it's nice to see you and hear that you're doing really good things.
Yeah, thank you. Nice to see you too. It's nice having a chat. I know I've rambled on a bit, but
it's
been fun.
It's the podcast to do it. I love a good chat. So thanks so much, and hopefully I'll see you soon.
Okay. All right, bye.
Bye. Thank you for listening to this week's episode. I hope you enjoyed it. Please rate, follow and share, as it really helps this little podcast out. And if you have found value in the podcast and you have the means to, I do have a Buy Me a Coffee link in the show notes. This will help keep the podcast going. Join me next week for another fantastic guest. Bye.